Okay, Doctor Who, episode 9. As you can hear, I have laryngitis, so you're really just gonna have to bear with me as I go through this, and hopefully my voice doesn't irritate you enough that you're like, I must turn this off. Alright, um, we've got one more episode to go to the season finale. This episode takes place in Norway. The doctor and her fam arrive, and they find a blind girl in an isolated cabin, and her father is missing. Now, much of this episode really functions for Ryan um, and Graham to work out their various issues. Ryan's first thought is that the girl's been abandoned by her father. And it's easy to know where this comes from because we know that Ryan doesn't have a close relationship with his own father. And for what I can tell, Ryan's father wasn't involved in his life growing up and didn't even show up for Grace's funeral, didn't go to his own mother's funeral. So Ryan is really dealing with a lot of pain where this is concerned. And so he shifts this on to the little girl, and she's immediately resentful and very angry at the very idea that her father could have just abandoned her. So there's this mirror, and this mirror leads to a parallel universe. And when they arrive, the father is found, and he's with his dead wife. This, as we know, should not be possible. Like, Yaz is the first one to ask, well, maybe this woman didn't die in this particular universe, and this is why she's here and unable to cross over to the next one. But it's Graham who has the big surprise because Grace is waiting for him. Now, Graham has his doubts at first, and he pulls out this frog necklace and he asks Grace, tell me everything you know about it. And she says that it's hers and that Graham wears it to remain close to her and that she got it for Christmas and that Ryan gave her a frog necklace the same year because the two of them didn't talk to each other. For Graham, this is a big dose of affirmation because it's for as much as he's seen, for as much as he enjoyed traveling with the doctor, he is still a man in a lot of pain. He's a man who's grieving the loss of the love of his life. And he's particularly hurt that the relationship was cut so short because they just found each other, just got married, and Grace died. This is clearly meant to pull the heartstrings because who wouldn't want to see a deceased loved one? Who wouldn't want that to be real? And this gives the doctor an uphill battle because she has to convince two men that the women that they love aren't actually with them, that they are in fact dead, and that they need to let go. This is really a difficult task. And it isn't until Grace suggests, not worrying about Ryan. Ryan will be fine in his other world. Let's just continue on. That Graham clues in because Grace would never have let Ryan fall by the wayside. So as much as he wants this fantasy, Graham is able to let go. It's harder for the other man. Even his daughter pleads that he's not well. The grief has made him mentally ill, grasping on to things that he shouldn't. And it isn't until Grace disintegrates, when the gig is up there, that he realizes where he needs to be, which is with his daughter in his world. Now, as I'm talking about all of this, you may be wondering, what about Yaz? What about Yaz is clearly the question of this entire season. Once again, we have another episode where the connection between Graham and Ryan and their backstories and personal histories make them a real and vibrant part of the episode. And Yaz, as great as she is just a third wheel. There is nothing there. for Yaz, except to follow the doctor's orders. Maybe to ask a question at the right time because a question needs to be asked. She's filler. There's nothing here to invest her in this story. There is no pain, there is no loss, there is no family history to work through. And all of this is the case because they haven't built anything around her. I know I sound like a broken record at this point. Every episode I have something to say about Yaz, but I think it's important because she is the only woman of color in the Whoverse. And she is being so greatly wronged that it breaks my heart every week. Excuse me. So, here we go. It all ends when the charade is dropped. We discover that this parallel universe has been created by this intensely lonely being, and she just wants a companion. And you can see the doctor is greatly moved by this because, that's what the doctor needs. The doctor to be the doctor, to really function the way the doctor is supposed to function, needs her companions. All of her companions are essential to her life. And so she is empathetic and she agrees to stay, to let Ryan and Graham and Yaz all go and stay behind to keep this extremely powerful yet sadly lonely creature company. But unfortunately, the doctor's mere presence in that universe creates instability, and so the doctor simply cannot stay. But she promises the being that they are friends now, friends forever and always. The doctor, the creature basically is a mirror to the doctor. What would the doctor be like without a companion? And the answer is, sadly, very lonely. It ends up and everything is fixed, everybody's back where they're supposed to be. But Graham is changed and broken. He can't hide his sadness, which you suspect that he's been doing much of the episode. And Ryan consoles him by finally calling him granddad, which again cements their bond. Because as we know, when this season started out, Ryan refused to refer to Graham as granddad. He scoffed at the very idea of it. But these two men came together in grief, and because they had to depend on each other to survive as companions to the doctor, and they forged a bond that was unique to the two of them. It may have begun it has begun in pain. There's no doubt that Grace is still the linchpin holding them together. But the bond is there and has been established. They have that with each other, which again points to Yaz, because there is no bond for her. There's nothing tying her to anyone. The writers really need to work on this. We have one more episode to go, and I fear that it's too late this season to do anything. Nothing good can come of Yaz at this point. They've squandered her for 9 episodes. And even when the season has managed to tell a beautiful story, she's always somehow on the outside of it. We'll see what the season finale has to offer.